When a man breaks your heart, don't break your character. When he thought you would fall apart, stand taller, because the greatest confusion to someone who tried to destroy you is watching you thrive anyway. Good evening, beautiful souls. Let's talk about pain. The kind that isn't just felt in the body, but in the soul. The kind that doesn't leave bruises, but leaves questions. Why me? Why wasn't I enough? Why did he treat me like that? But sis, here's the shift. When a man hurts you, don't give him the satisfaction of watching you self-destruct. Give him the confusion of watching you resurrect. See, some people expect you to stay down because they broke you. But the oil on your life wasn't poured for pretty. It was poured for power. And power doesn't cry in the corner forever. It gets up, wipes its face, fixes its crown, and walks like destiny still belongs to her. You don't have to match his betrayal with bitterness. That's predictable. What's not predictable? Walking in peace when they expected war, smiling when they expected sorrow, creating when they expected chaos. When a man hurts you, confuse him by forgiving. Not because he deserves it, but because you deserve freedom. Confuse him by flourishing. Let your life grow louder than your pain. Let your joy be unexplainable. Let your healing be holy. Let him wonder how the woman he tried to destroy became the woman he can't even reach. Here's the real truth. You don't owe anyone revenge. You owe yourself redemption. You owe yourself the version of you that's no longer angry, no longer proving a point, no longer shrinking to fit into someone else's shallow expectations. So the next time someone says, "How did she bounce back like that?" let them know, I didn't bounce back. I leveled up. I confused the one who hurt me by becoming someone he never saw coming, whole, healed, and unstoppable. Your healing is not his responsibility. It's your power move. And that truth may sting at first, especially when you've been wronged, betrayed, or left in pieces by someone who once swore to protect your heart. It's natural to want them to fix what they broke, to say the right words, to make it all better. But here's the reality. Waiting on the one who hurt you to be the one who heals you will only keep you stuck. Healing doesn't begin with his apology. It begins with your decision. Your healing is not an invitation for him to come back. It's not a performance to prove you're over it. It's not about erasing the past, pretending it didn't hurt, or rushing to get better, just to seem strong. No, your healing is sacred. It's a journey back to yourself. It's you standing in the mirror, looking at every cracked place and saying, I still choose me. It's you choosing to patch every broken part, not with bitterness, but with boundaries, with wisdom, with love for yourself. When you realize your healing belongs to you, you stop handing out emotional permission slips to people who mishandled you. You stop needing their validation to move forward. You stop waiting for closure from someone who never knew how to handle an open wound. Taking responsibility for your healing doesn't let them off the hook. It gets you off the chain. It releases you from being tied to the moment you were hurt. It tells the enemy you might have tried it, but you didn't win. So no, your healing is not his job, it's your weapon. It's how you reclaim your voice, your peace, your power, your purpose. It's how you remind yourself that you are not defined by what happened to you, but by what rises in you. Because when you choose to heal, you're not just surviving the pain, you're transforming it. That is your power move, that is your comeback, that is your crown. Confusion is not revenge, it's elevation. It's not about plotting or proving, it's not about making someone pay or showing them what they lost. Confusion is what happens when the version of you they tried to break no longer exists, and the version standing in her place is unbothered, unbent, and fully becoming. See, when someone expects you to crumble, and instead you rise with more wisdom, more grace, and more purpose. That's confusing. Not because you were supposed to stay broken, but because they never imagined you could be that resilient. They never thought you'd have the audacity to bloom where they buried you. But here you are, not only standing, but standing stronger. And this isn't about arrogance. It's not about flexing on anybody. It's about understanding that your elevation, your peace, your progress, your growth, is the most unexpected answer to someone who underestimated you. They may have thought they were the end of your story, but you turned the page, you kept going. You started healing, building, creating. You decided to no longer be the woman who begged to be seen. You became the woman who saw herself. Confusion comes when you don't respond the way pain usually teaches people to respond. You didn't lash out. You didn't spiral. You didn't stay stuck. You didn't lose your integrity to prove a point. That's what they can't explain. That's what they don't understand because they were ready for a reaction. But you chose a revelation, and your revelation was this: peace is more powerful than revenge. Growth speaks louder than grudges. And nothing is more disruptive to someone's narrative than watching you rise without their name in your mouth. So no, you didn't confuse him by clapping back. You confused him by climbing higher. You confused him by moving on, not with bitterness, but with boldness. You confused him by choosing joy over drama, purpose over pettiness, and destiny over history. You didn't stoop to his level. You rose to your calling, and in doing so you reminded him, and yourself, that your story was never about the pain, but the woman you became in spite of it. The version of you that was hurt isn't the final version. That was only a chapter, not the conclusion. That woman, the one who cried herself to sleep, who questioned her worth, who tried to hold it all together while everything was falling apart, she was real. She was strong in ways no one saw. She was doing the best she could with what she knew. But she is not where the story ends. The pain she felt was valid, but it was never meant to define her. It was meant to shape her, refine her, wake her up to who she really is. Sometimes we meet ourselves in the fire. We find our voices in the silence that someone else's absence created. We discover our worth in the places where we were once made to feel small. You are allowed to outgrow her, the version of you that was betrayed, disappointed, overlooked. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to want more, expect more, be more. The moment you decide to no longer identify with your woundedness, the healing begins. Not because the hurt didn't happen, but because you now understand it's part of your story, not your identity. That version of you may have settled. She may have tolerated too much, given too much, stayed too long, but she gave you the gift of experience. She gave you the lessons that fuel your growth. Don't be ashamed of her. Don't resent her. Thank her. She was the bridge that led you here. Now you get to rise. Now you get to choose differently. Now you get to walk like someone who has survived the worst and still dares to believe in the best. That's not weakness. That's resurrection power. You are not frozen in the moment he hurt you. You are not stuck in the season where you lost yourself. That version of you may have been cracked, but you are rising from the pieces, and the woman you're becoming, she's not fragile. She's fire. She's not questioning. She knows. She's not chasing. She's choosing peace, choosing purpose, choosing herself. So no, the version of you that was hurt is not the final version. She was a beginning. The real you, the bold, healed, whole, powerful you, is still unfolding, and she's worth the wait. You don't have to clap back. God's redemption is louder than any comeback. Because the truth is, silence in the hands of the healed is a strategy, not surrender. When someone wounds you, disrespects you, or tries to tear down what you've built, the world might expect you to fight fire with fire. To defend yourself, to expose them, to drag them like they dragged your name, but there's a deeper strength in restraint, a holy kind of confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. You see, clapping back might feel good for a moment, but it won't give you what you're truly after, peace. And peace doesn't live in petty responses. It lives in divine redirection. It lives in knowing that God saw what they did, heard what they said, and still has a plan for your life that doesn't require their approval or participation. When you understand who you are in God, you realize your story is bigger than the drama they tried to pull you into. You realize you don't have to prove your worth to people who never valued it in the first place. Because what's coming for you is not about their opinion. It's about his promise, and his promises don't need to shout to shake the earth. So instead of a clapback, let your life speak, let your fruit speak. Let your healed heart, your elevated mind, and your undeniable growth speak. That's the kind of redemption no insult can compete with. That's the kind of response that echoes louder than any argument. God's redemption rewrites the narrative. It takes what was meant to break you and turns it into the foundation for your breakthrough. It exposes lies without you lifting a finger. It lifts you in public the same way you wept in private. That's how he moves, strategically, sovereignly, silently at first, then suddenly. So the next time you feel tempted to respond out of emotion, remember this: you're not fighting for victory, you're walking in it. You don't have to match their energy when you're covered by something they don't understand. You don't need revenge when God is your redeemer. His version of a clapback is blessing you so loud they have to watch and wonder. That's not shade, that's glory, and it's yours. Let your wholeness be his question mark. Let the strength you carry now be the thing he can't explain. The peace you walk in be the silence that speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. You don't need to tell him you're healed. Live in such a way that he has to ask himself, how did she rise from what I thought would destroy her? Let the confidence in your eyes confuse him. Let the way you laugh again, dream again, and love yourself without apology become the mystery he never saw coming. Because the truth is, wholeness is the greatest plot twist. When someone expects you to stay broken, bitter, or bound, and instead you show up healed, focused, and full of joy, that's the kind of transformation no text message can explain, no apology can touch. Your wholeness is not for him, it's for you, but don't be surprised when it stirs something in him. Not regret, maybe, not remorse, but curiosity. How did the woman I wounded become this unstoppable force? How did she get back up? Without me, without the apology, without the closure. Because here's the truth. You stopped needing closure when you found clarity. You stopped needing validation when you found value. You stopped searching for him to fix what he broke when you realized the power to rebuild was always within you. You took the pieces he left behind, and instead of waiting for him to come back and make sense of them, you created something new. You grew, you leveled up, you unlearned the lies and relearned your worth, and now your peace is protected. Your boundaries are firm. Your joy is not dependent on anyone else's presence or absence. So let your wholeness speak. Not as a performance, but as proof that healing is possible, that God still rewrites stories, and that the woman who was once shattered now stands as a masterpiece. Let your wholeness be the question mark he can't answer. Let your silence say, I don't need you to understand how I healed. I just need you to see that I did. And in that you win, without the noise, without the need to be seen, just whole, just healed. Just her, Grace is gangster, not because it's soft or passive, but because it's powerful in a way that doesn't need to raise its voice. Grace walks into rooms where vengeance wants to speak, and it says, we're good here. It takes the high road, not because it's easier, but because it requires strength, restraint, and an identity rooted so deep that pettiness can't shake it. There's a certain kind of edge to a woman who chooses grace when she could have gone off, when she could have clapped back, dragged someone's name, exposed the truth, or returned the hurt. But she didn't, not because she didn't feel the pain, but because she chose to protect her peace over her pride. That's gangster. That's next-level maturity. That's the kind of quiet power that can't be faked. Grace doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you excuse what they did. It means you remember who you are, and you refuse to let what they did change your character. It's easy to mirror the chaos people bring into your life. It's harder, stronger. I respond with clarity, with dignity, with discipline. Not because you're weak, but because you've evolved, and make no mistake. Grace isn't soft. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. In fact, grace sometimes looks like walking away and never looking back. It's choosing to forgive, but also choosing to protect your space. It's being kind without being accessible. It's releasing without reconnecting. Grace is fierce because it draws the line and says, I will not lose myself just to make you understand me. When a woman operates in grace, it confuses people who thought drama would keep her bound. It disarms the ones who expected her to self-destruct. It elevates her into rooms her enemies never thought she'd enter, and all without saying a word, because grace isn't a reaction, it's a lifestyle. It's covered in wisdom, wrapped in discernment, and carried with confidence. So yes, grace is gangster, because it refuses to be reduced. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't seek revenge. It doesn't need an audience to be powerful. It just is. And when you walk in that kind of grace, you don't just survive what was meant to break you. You rise above it with your crown intact and your spirit untouched. That's not just healing, that's holy. That's gangster. So let this be your reminder. You are not the pain they caused. You are not the tears you cried. You are not the version of yourself that settled, broke, or stayed too long. You are the healed woman rising. The whole woman walking, the graceful woman glowing, and the powerful woman becoming. You don't have to prove anything to the one who hurt you. Your peace is proof. Your growth is proof. Your silence is proof. You don't need revenge. You don't need the last word. You don't even need to be understood. Because when you choose to heal, evolve, and move in purpose, you become the very thing they never saw coming. Let your wholeness confuse him. Let your elevation expose him. Let your grace silence him. Because when a man hurts you, the greatest response is not destruction. It's transformation. You don't win by fighting his way. You win by rising yours, and you, my sister, were never created to stay in pieces. You were always called to rise in power. So rise, rebuild, and remember. Asterisk, asterisk, you are the comeback he never saw coming. Asterisk, asterisk.